Welcome once again to Kevin and Brian's Horror Drive-In Theater Podcast, where each week we cover the latest horror news, a short or two, and 2 creature feature reviews.
This week, after the news, we'll cover the drive-in classic Drag Me to Hell, followed by our discussion of the short film It's Yellow Eyes, and our modern-day horror film Happy Death Day. Get your pop rocks ready, turn up the volume, and relax. Here we go.
It's our 10th episode. Can you believe it?
That's like 20 movies by now.
And now for some news.
If you remember the animal musicians from the Banana Splits Adventure Hour as your furry friends, that might change soon. The children's show that aired from 1968 to 1970 and into syndication after that is going to get a horror retake. Reports are that Warner Brothers and Sci-Fi are teaming up to bring the Splits gang back, as the film is about a boy named Harley who is celebrating his birthday by attending a Banana Splits TV show taping with his family. Things then take an unexpected turn, and the body count quickly rises. Release details are still coming, though Danny Kind, Steve Lund, and Sarah Canning will be joining the cast. We were skeptical, but there's already an IMDb page for this.
I'm not sure how I feel about this. They were my furry friends. I was like 3, 4, 5 when I watched.
This is actually Banana Splits or just something similar clone-like?
I think it's the actual Banana Splits.
Like they brought back Charlie Angels and Starsky and Hutch and those guys, now Banana Splits?
I think it's that same kind of thing. Yeah.
Is that big enough? Is anybody even young enough to remember that? I barely remember that.
Well, I was a wee lad. It was huge, though. I remember at the time. All my little friends were talking about it.
Well, I think I had a lunchbox.
Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating, but it seemed like it was popular. Maybe that was just me.
I don't think it was Charlie's Angels level popular.
They did have a lunchbox, though.
Yeah, I had I wasn't kidding. I had the lunchbox.
I didn't have the lunchbox, but I remember seeing the lunchbox.
Well, that could well be interesting. We'll see. What you got next?
In general movie news, along with some horror news, Amazon is stepping up their movie game. They are now striving as a start to add 30 original movies a year to their lineup, including 8 horror movies from Blumhouse this year. And those will only show on Amazon, not in theaters. It's Amazon Originals. They're stepping up things only on Amazon.
You want to fight big Netflix, you got to play their game.
And they're going for big budget movies, high quality movies, it sounds like. Blumhouse has done Split and the recent Halloween movie.
And the Happy Death Day that we're about to talk about.
Yeah, Get Out. That was a huge one. Blumhouse did that. So it's serious business, sounds like Amazon's stepping into. Looking forward to that in the coming months.
It's not horror related. Are they the ones doing the Lord of the Rings series?
That I'm not sure about.
Was that Amazon or Apple?
I don't remember.
Boy, somebody big's doing it.
Somebody big is doing it, but Amazon's stepping up with the big boys as far as their original content.
Yeah, it is Amazon.
Okay.
Just looked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're spending some money on TV shows.
They're trying to nudge into Netflix's territory and HBO Now and, trying to be a contender.
They need to improve their Apple TV app. We've got Amazon Prime TV and hardly ever watch it because it's just so hard to find anything good on that app.
Maybe they'll improve it, too.
It's not to say they don't have good stuff. It's just hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
Third news item, the man who helped bring us the American Horror Story has announced that he has another series in the works that will begin filming this summer. Called Hollywood, he describes it in an Instagram post as a love letter to the golden age of Tinseltown. It's a deal with Netflix and will have initial airing exclusively on that network. No more details at this time, but he teases us that more is to come.
Of course there is.
Of course there is.
And that seems to be a trend. Netflix is exclusive on that one. Amazon is exclusive on these things, and HBO Now is exclusive on these things, and each of the networks is getting some big projects going that is exclusive to them.
Well, it used to be like the movie theater, the network, like the big movie studios used to do it, Paramount or Universal. They'd pay their money to have the movies made, they'd show it in their theaters, and eventually they'd release it on their brand of DVDs or VHS or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing, only Netflix is paying for it to be made, so they're going to show it on their thing first.
Yeah, makes sense. The previous stuff that he's done, like American Horror Story, and there was another one he did too, they weren't Netflix exclusives. They didn't start on Netflix. This is the first deal with him and Netflix.
Okay, next up. If they'd had Google in the movies, things might have been very different, as they show in a series of ads that completely change the outcome. Two of them, whose links are included in the show notes, feature the classics Scream and Psycho. They're short, effective, and very funny. Who knew that OK Google could be a lifesaver? And you gotta watch those links, they're both very good.
And they're so short, and I've watched them several times, and I've laughed every time.
They're like 15 seconds. They're very short.
Very, but it completely changes the outcome of the movie. It's just, wow, how could they do that so effectively, so fast?
Lastly, Tom Savini has announced on his Twitter feed that coming soon, there's a gigantic coffee table photo biography. Release date to be announced. He's truly a multi-talented guy who has been a part of dozens of horror and action movies and shows as an actor, director, makeup effects artist, stuntman, and crew, including Dawn of the Dead, both Creepshow movies, From Dusk Till Dawn, and Machete.
And a whole list of stuff.
He's had a long and interesting career, and the book should be worth checking out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I may have to get that.
I remember seeing him in Dawn of the Dead, was the first one I noticed him in. He was the biker gang leader that invaded the mall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember him.
And, of course, he dies a grisly death, and he does many of his movies.
And chances are he did his own makeup on the grisly death.
I think he did,
a lot of practical effects in horror movies.
He's got to be getting pretty old by now, too.
Oh, that I didn't notice. But, yeah, he's been around a while. He's as much stuff as he's done. 72, holy cats.
That's about what I would have guessed. You know, in your 30s and 1970s movies, and that kind of works out that way.
Yeah, afraid so.
I guess he's still working.
Yeah. Seen any good movies lately?
Seen a couple. We got our drive-in special this week, which is not as old as most of our drive-in specials. We've been trying to keep the drive-in specials more than 10 years old. But this one came across, and it just occurred to me that I hadn't seen it before. Had you?
I hadn't seen it before.
And we wanted to see it, so we saw it.
So we're calling it a classic, even though it's from 2009.
Drag Me to Hell. And this one
starts out in Pasadena, California in 1969, before color was invented, black and white.
Well, before we even get into that, Drag Me to Hell was from 2009. It was directed by Sam Raimi, the guy who did Spider-Man, what's the Dead movies?
Dawn of the Dead.
No.
Mall of the Dead.
No.
Return of the Dead.
No.
Return of the
With
Living
Bruce
Dead.
Campbell.
Oh, okay. Evil Dead.
Evil Dead, yes. The whole series of Evil Dead movies, which were just as funny as they were scary.
And this one is as funny as scary in certain points, too.
It doesn't look funny on the cover of the movie. The description doesn't sound funny, but it has some of the funniest scenes in horror movies I've seen in a long time.
Oh, yeah, the one is just unbelievable. That was cartoon level. Looney Tunes.
Literally cartoon level. Okay, so back to you. It started in 1969. A little boy stole a necklace from a gypsy, and he's cursed. The people in the room are tossed around, and surprisingly enough, the boy is grabbed and pulled through the floor to hell. And then they show the credits. And in the credits are kind of nice. They're kind of cartoony looking. And in the credits, they explain that it takes 3 days for the curse to fulfill itself. That's really all we get from that. And then the credits end, and we're back to modern times.
Christine is going to work.
She works in a bank. This gross old gypsy woman comes in. And how do I know she's an old gypsy woman? Because she looks like every old gypsy woman you've ever seen in a movie ever.
Every stereotype you can think of. One
gray
milky eye
eye
and long dirty fingernails and snaggly teeth and a Romanian accent.
Just as totally stereotypical gypsy woman as you can get.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so this old woman's house is being repossessed, and she wants an extension on her mortgage. That's pretty mundane. Christine goes to talk to the boss, and he says it's her call. She wants a promotion and tells the old lady there's nothing that can be done. The old lady refuses to move in with her daughter, or move into a nursing home, or any other reasonable request.
Gets on her knees and begs Christine, please,
I beg you.
And then
Catherine calls security, and the old woman gets mean.
Christine calls security.
Yeah,
you
it
said
says
Catherine.
Catherine right there in my notes.
It's not Catherine.
Okay.
Anyway, and then the gypsy woman is all upset because you humiliated me. You made me, I begged, and you turned me away.
But the security people take her out of the bank, and that's that. It's over. Movie ends. Credits roll. Oh, no, not really.
No.
The old woman accosts her again in the empty parking garage. It is, by the way, the only time I've ever seen a stapler fight.
Because Christine has taken some work home, and that includes some office supplies, including a stapler.
The old woman's in the back seat, and Christine just grabs the stapler and lets her have it. Then, of course, she backs her car up into the car nearby at high speed, and the old lady goes flying into the windshield and loses her teeth in battle. They pop right, you see that this was done in 3D, and you see the old woman's teeth just pop out at the camera.
And then she's trying to bite Christine, and she's frustrated. She realizes that her teeth are gone, and she can't. She's trying to gum her. It doesn't work. So then she's scrambling to put her teeth back in and still going after Christine. Christine jams a ruler down her throat. That gets spit out at you at 3D. You know, there were some clearly 3D effects. It's a knockdown, drag-out fight for a while.
Boy, it is. And eventually the old woman gets Christine down on her back. She reaches down and pulls a button off her coat. She holds the button up ominously, says some magic words, and gives the button back to her.
And Christine passes out.
And that's the end of that. We don't see any more of the old lady.
She's been cursed.
So Christine and her boyfriend head home afterwards, and they stop by a fortune teller. For some reason, Christine just needs to have her fortune told. So he reads her, and he knows about the missing button already. The room gets all weird, and he sees the demon. And he tells her, "A dark spirit has come upon you. Perhaps someone has cursed you." This guy's good.
He is. He knows exactly what's going on.
He's not a fake at all. Later...
But he does ask for $60 up front.
Well, yeah. I have no idea what a fortune telling costs. That seems like a lot. Maybe not if you're real.
Yeah, maybe not.
Later, it's really clear that something has followed her home. She's attacked by a dark shape. It looks sort of like the shadow of a demon. She's confused about who attacked her and did all the damage. The boyfriend, naturally, explains it all away.
It's just in your head, dear.
That night, there's a scene where she inhales a fly. It crawls up one side of her nose and comes out the other nostril. Then it crawls on her lips and she inhales it.
And swallows it.
And just as mundane as that is, it was kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Because you know you've done the same thing at some point. Snorting flies.
Yeah.
Okay, so at the same time she swallows the fly, she dreams that the old lady pukes worms all over her. She then gets up, goes to work, and pukes blood all over her boss.
And has a projectile nosebleed.
Oh, it shoots across the room?
It shoots across the room. And then she just, like, well, it stopped. And I mean,
you act like you'd go to a doctor.
Any sane person would call 911 immediately with a nosebleed like that.
She covers herself, the boss, the desk, and the floor in blood.
And the boss is like, none went in my mouth, did it? None went in my mouth, did it?
Naturally, she tracks the old woman down to her home. It turns out, though, the woman has just died, and this is her funeral going on right then and there. Christine tips over the coffin, and once again, the old woman...
Not on purpose.
Not on purpose, no. She falls into her. Tips over the coffin, and once again... the old woman pukes embalming fluid all over her. Are you noticing a trend here with puke?
Puke, bodily fluids.
There's a lot of puke
gushing fluids, yeah.
This is, I think, the third gross puke scene in the movie already. She goes back to the fortune teller, and he says it's a lamia, a spirit that torments its victim for 2 days, and then kills them and takes them to hell on the 3rd day. He gives her a book about how to sacrifice small animals.
Sacrificing small animals for dummies.
Then the camera shifts, and we see, hey, she has a small kitten at home. And after the next attack in the kitchen, that cat is toast.
Yeah, she sacrifices the cat.
I thought they were giving it to us as like a false lead. She wasn't going to hurt the cat. Nope, that's a former cat.
Yeah.
So Christine and her boyfriend go to visit his parents, and they're stuck-up snobs. The only thing
but
more...
Catherine, but yeah, no, I'm calling her. I'm looking at your notes, calling her Catherine. Christine thinks it's all taken care of. She did her part. She sacrificed the cat, and so it's a happy dinner. They're off to dinner.
They're kind of stuck-up snobs, and she's a farm girl, and they're kind of picking on her a little bit. And things go well, and she finally starts to win them over. But you know what the only thing more awkward than a dinner with the in-laws is?
Is seeing an eyeball in your cake.
A demon attack. That'll do it every time.
Mm-hmm.
Afterwards, she goes to see the psychic again, and he says he knows a woman who can fix this for $10,000.
And this is the woman in the first scene who failed to save the boy.
Yeah, from way back in 1969.
And
She's
wants
older
another
now.
chance.
And the boyfriend, who just saw her go berserk at his parents' house, actually comes through and pays this person for her. The psychic takes her to see the woman who helped fight the demon in the opening scene, who still wants revenge after all these years.
But you're leaving out the best scene in the movie. You skipped over the shed scene.
Oh.
That happened because...
Oh, she needed the money.
She needed the money. She's trying to scrape together money. She's literally gathering everything in the house of value. She goes out to the shed. She's gathering up some tools and ice skates, pulls back a sheet, and the gypsy woman jumps out at her, who is dead already. So it's a spirit of the gypsy woman.
So Christine
but she's physically
screams,
there.
And the gypsy woman punches her in the mouth, except she opens her mouth and swallows her whole arm. So Christine can't speak. She's kind of pinned to the wall by this gypsy woman's arm.
And she's a ghost, yet she is physically there, seems to be.
Christine looks over at the wall and sees this rope tied to something. The camera moves up and you see it's attached to a pulley. The camera moves down along the rope and you see it's attached to an anvil hanging about 10 feet in the air.
Why would you have an anvil hanging 10 feet in the air in your shed?
They always did on Looney Tunes.
But she happens to be holding the ice skate still.
Which she swings and cuts the rope. The anvil falls 20 feet down, hits the witch on the head, flattens her head quite graphically.
Her eyeballs pop out, splatter Christine in the face.
On the bright side, it's not a puke joke, but it's way, way better.
It's
it was
Looney
so
Tunes
unexpected and so well executed. I mean, we both had to stop the movie and laugh for about 15 minutes.
And rewind and watch it again. Anyway, once the anvil falls, the gypsy woman isn't there anymore.
Yeah, it was just some kind of vision.
But she was physically there, sorta. It was somewhere in between. But yeah.
So anyway, they go to the woman's house who fought the demon 40 years ago, and she says her house just happens to sit on this thing that's just like a hellmouth. Mm-hmm. The location attracts demons. So they set up a seance with a live goat, a machete, and the works. They're going to drive the lamia into the goat and then kill the goat. Of course, it takes over the psychic. The lamia appears and there's more puke. She drives the demon out, but the psychic dies. It's all over, right? Of course not. It's got 20 minutes to go.
Because they exorcised the lamia.
Sure did.
Banished it.
But their surviving psychic puts her button in an envelope. He tells her that her only chance is to give the button away as a gift.
The cursed button.
The curse will be lifted, but the person she gives it to will go to hell in her place. Who should she give it to? The old man with the oxygen mask who looks like he's about to die anyway?
No, he's got a wife who loves him. And
the guy at work who stole her project and screwed her over?
He almost gets it.
Almost, but she has second thoughts.
Yeah, because she's deep down a good person. This is a harsh curse that has been placed upon her just for doing her job, just for, the gypsy woman who couldn't pay her mortgage. And
so she decides at the end to give it back to the old woman herself, dead or not. She digs up the grave. Did you ever notice in these movies how fast people can dig up a grave?
Fast and easy, yeah.
And she opens up the coffin. She dramatically stuffs the envelope into the corpse's mouth, and she survives the night.
Happy ending.
The next morning, she goes to meet her boyfriend at the train station, and it turns out that she mixed up the envelopes and didn't give the button to the old lady after all. Just then, she gets dragged to hell. The end.
Yeah, it looked like a happy ending for a while. It wasn't.
A couple things in this one that were interesting. You'd expect the boyfriend to freak out after the weird dinner with his parents, but he actually stands by her. Usually, the boyfriend leaves at that point, and something bad happens to him. And this one kind of changed that little trope a little bit.
Yeah, it did. He was very
He was
loyal to
actually
her.
a good guy, and that's just unusual in this kind of movie. Lots of spewing.
Lots of spewing.
There
Lots
were
of bodily fluids.
At least 4 puke scenes alone.
And, yeah, the other liquids of, blood and, yeah.
At one point,
It was a
the
very
old
wet
woman in the
movie.
bank just hacked something up.
Oh, yeah, there was phlegm, too.
Yeah, and it was great. I kind of gagged at the sound of it. It was really, it was kind of yuck.
Yeah, it was.
And, of course, I've got a special note here of the anvil on the head with the eyeball shooting out. There's nothing like that anywhere in horror cinema.
Mm-hmm.
So let me get this straight. The old woman stopped paying her rent, and the girl working at the bank is the bad guy deserving of a curse?
And not just a curse, like, a pox on you, like, like literally drag her to hell.
Whatever happened to the curse victims who actually got what they deserved? Like the guy in Thinner. What'd he do? He ran over the gypsy woman and got cursed? He deserved that.
The
The werewolf? What did the werewolf guy do to the gypsy people? I forget what he did.
No, I don't remember.
I don't remember, but he deserved it. He did something, and he kind of had it coming.
But this woman just didn't want to pay her mortgage. Or couldn't pay her mortgage. Okay, but she said, it's been my home for 30 years. And like, what, in 30 years you can't pay the mortgage? You get it paid off by then? And maybe she was poor, in difficulties, but really?
Listen to you
Condemn
being
her
all
to-
Republican and stuff.
Really? Send her to hell just for, the poor girl doing her job?
Yeah, sure. Take the side of big banks. Yeah.
Well, she'd already had 2 extensions. They specifically said she'd had 2 extensions already.
You'd think you were an accountant in a former life.
Oh, you'd think so. Yeah,
Okay, so everybody got what they deserved in this movie, sort of. Not really.
not really.
But it was maybe not the scariest movie, but it definitely had some good visual jokes.
Definitely entertaining.
Not funny in the way the stuff was. This was actually funny, and it was intended to be.
Yeah, Sam Raimi and his work.
And it had some good gore and some actual disgusting bits. I would give it overall a 7 out of 10, but that one scene gets a 12 out of 10.
Yep, same here. Yep, I agree. Absolutely.
Okay. So did you see a short movie this week?
I did see a short movie this week.
What'd we see?
You saw it too.
I did.
It's Yellow Eyes. 10.5 minutes of kind of scary goodness.
Just the one guy in the cast, very small.
No dialogue.
Okay, a jogger is out jogging. That's what joggers do. And he finds a bag on the side of the road. He goes through it and finds a wallet. He pockets that and also takes a funky-looking carved rock out of the bag.
At first I thought it was a brown banana.
It's sort of a banana-shaped rock with some carvings in it. It's probably some kind of Indian artifact or something like that, but we don't know.
We don't know.
Some friends say they're going to pick him up at 10. In the meantime, he watches TV. On a break, he goes to the kitchen and sees someone standing outside with bright yellow eyes. All you see is the 2 yellow dots off in the distance.
Blinking, staring,
Very creepy blinky effect.
and whistling.
He
and
hears a
noises.
whistling noise and looks outside again, and it's still there. He sees it blinking. Now, he locks the doors. Who wouldn't have locked the doors 10 minutes ago?
Some places you don't lock the doors. People don't lock the doors all the time.
As he hides from the thing, he sees the wallet and the rock on his table. He picks up the rock and starts to feel strange. He goes to sleep. And that's probably all we ought to say, don't you think?
I think so. Let people watch it to find out the rest.
Yeah, I thought it was very suspenseful. You don't know what's going to happen for sure or why. And the yellow eyes, I thought, there's really nothing to it, but it was creepy and worked well.
Yeah, suspenseful. I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it. Definitely worth taking. It was a little longer than some of the ones at 10 minutes, but it was good.
Thumbs up.
Yep, thumbs up. And last, we've got our modern day horror film. It's not one from this year. It's from 2017.
Happy Death Day.
Happy Death Day.
The sequel came out this year.
Yep, which
So
we have not done yet, but we
thought
probably
we
will
should
soon.
see the first one. And a warning, if you are thinking of seeing the second one and you watch the preview for the second one, the preview for the second one tells you who did it in the first one.
So you knew going into this who the killer was.
I thought that was kind of a dick move of them. I don't think they should have done that.
A lot of trailers give away too much, but usually not the whole plot of the first movie.
Yeah, I had it spoiled ahead of time. And I think I would have liked it better if I hadn't known. But I liked it a lot. I thought it was good.
Well, I'll tell you, I read the IMDb trivia before watching it, and I got spoiled too.
No,
it's there too. It also tells who did it.
Spoilers.
We, on the other hand, won't ruin it for you by telling you who did it.
If you can go into it blind, that's good.
Actually, we know who did it. It was a big person in a baby face mask.
Oh, you give it away.
Well, you see him do it like 18 times.
You do, yeah.
It's Monday the 18th. A girl named Tree wakes up in a strange dorm room. She walks across campus and sees many things. It's her birthday. She is mean. She is murdered. A girl named Tree wakes up in a strange dorm room, feeling like she's been here before. She walks across campus and sees many things. It's her birthday. She's mean. She is murdered in a different place. A girl named Tree wakes up in a strange dorm room, knowing she's been here before. She walks across campus and sees many things. It's still her birthday. She's scared and mean. She's murdered in a different place. About this point, I decided I've seen this gimmick too many times. Just like Bill Murray, she decides to fight back. In the end, she is not mean and lives.
Well, that was just lovely. You ain't wrong. Maybe it could use a little more nuance, but yeah, it was like Groundhog Day.
The entire plot of the movie you're going to see in the first 10 minutes. You're just going to see it 12 times.
Well, and it was kind of like Groundhog Day, where he's kind of dicky and mean at the beginning, and then there's character development after going through this over and over again. They're a different person at the end. Well, yeah, this happens too, and
the only spoiler we could really give you is who the killer is, and we're not going to go there.
No, because and it is a whodunit. You really don't know.
Other than that, basically, the most of the movie is kind of predictable if you know it's a Groundhog Day clone.
And she has a day where she tries to fix everything, at least somewhat. Tries to make it a perfect day.
This one, Bill Murray, though, in Groundhog Day, he tried to leave town and couldn't. He tried to do all kinds of things and couldn't. He was limited. Some days he would kill himself. Some day he'd go to sleep and just wake up again the same day. This one, though, every day, this same person killed her. But it seemed like she had other options. She could have gotten in a car first thing in the morning and just drove 300 miles away. That killer wouldn't have been there. It's not like the universe itself was trying to kill her or keep her there.
Just this one killer.
Just this one guy. She could have bought a gun first thing in the morning and sat in a room waiting for him. She could have locked herself in some sort of steel room and just hid out the night there. There's lots of things she could have done to keep from getting killed.
And also, she knew it was happening over and over, and why not? As she had the memories of the day before,
she
and
knew
how
what was
she was
happening
being,
for all
how
of it.
she was killed and everything. Why not pull the mask off the killer as he's or she is? They are killing her.
Yeah, and then
you really
know
don't
who
know
it was.
You really don't know gender even. There's suspects, multiple people it could be.
She rules them off a list, scratches them off the list as she realizes they couldn't have done it. So she narrows it down. Mm-hmm. But yeah, why not just pull the mask off during one of the many murders and you'd know who did it?
Yeah, there could have been some solutions.
Okay.
But as it is, there weren't solutions, and yeah, she goes through it over and over. One variation on the groundhog thing, he came back perfect every morning, fresh, and she was starting to have damage carried over a little bit.
Wearing thin from all the we don't know what caused the reboot every morning.
No,
so
that's
this
never
is
explained.
not Groundhog Day. We don't know what the deal is, and not only does she remember everything, but yeah, she is getting weaker. So supposedly they explain this in the sequel. Not having seen the sequel yet, don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I've seen this gimmick one too many times. I was really getting bored about 15 minutes in.
15 minutes in.
I thought it was, the ending was okay. I mean, the last 20 minutes was very entertaining. I liked the last 20 minutes. But everything between the first 15 minutes and the last 20 minutes, I give it a 4 out of 10.
Okay, I'd give it a 7 at least. 7.5.
Okay, I was kind of bored.
I wasn't bored.
Okay.
I was rooting for her.
Is that a rooster I hear?
I think it is.
The sun
Is it
is
morning
starting
again?
to come up.
It's morning again.
We gotta go.
Okay.
The drive-in is closing down for the weekend. Stop in during the week at www.horrorbulletin.com for news and horror updates, to comment on the podcast, or contact us. Check out our Twitter feed at @HorrorBulletin, or check us out on the website. You made something this week. You made a playlist.
I made a fun thing, yeah, a playlist on YouTube of all the shorts that we have reviewed.
So you can click on one playlist, spend probably, I don't know, a half hour, and watch them all so far.
Oh, it's a good hour by now.
By now? Okay.
Yeah, and we'll keep adding to it.
We'll add a link to the
its yellow
playlist.
eyes to it and keep adding to it.
I'm Brian.
I'm Kevin.
And pick up your litter and return your speakers before you leave the drive-in. See you next weekend.
See ya.
See ya.